Victor, when I snap my fingers, you'll forget that you were a Star Wars fan.
Didn't work. Try it again.
Damn.
What's going on, y'all? This is Alexander. You are plugged into the Nerd Companion.
What's going on, y'all? This is Alexander from the Nerd Companion coming at you with a special Star Wars episode. We are going to be going over Obi-Wan from Disney Plus. I've got my buddy here, Victor.
What's up?
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
Get real intimate with that mic.
Can I hug it?
Hug it.
Okay. So, my name is Victor. I'm a 42-year-old huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Through and through. Just, I just like it. I like it a lot.
A lot. What age were you when you were exposed to Star Wars?
Man, I was probably like 6 years old, maybe something like that. 5 or 6 years old.
Do you remember a lot? Like,
I don't remember that much.
Who exposed you to it?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yeah,
did?
my dad. He was just sitting in the living room and just put movies on. And one of the days, I actually started watching. It was Revenge of the Jedi. It wasn't even New Hope.
So you got exposed to the original or the prequel trilogy.
So I got cheated. I didn't start with the New Hope, and I found out he was the father.
Man,
yeah. So I feel like I got cheated.
Hold on. So you're talking about Return of the Jedi? For some reason, I was thinking
Return of the Jedi.
Revenge of the Sith.
Or
Empire. Oh, I mean that's the best one.
It is the best one.
Yeah, that's the best one.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
So I can't complain too much, right? But
I think the magic thing about Empire is that as important as this is as a chronological story.
Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily need to watch New Hope to watch Empire because I don't really feel like there's like any like continuation. Like I feel A New Hope was a good standalone movie. I feel if this ended up being a flop, like that would have been okay.
That would have been okay. Yeah, 100%.
Everything was kind of resolved. But I mean,
he redeems himself 100% in Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, good God!
So,
well, I think that answers the question: which one's the best movie?
So I tell people all the time, I want to get back to where I have no idea that he's the father, and I want it to be 100. I want it to just be surprised by because by the time I watch it, and other people, trying to get my wife to watch it and stuff, and
she's not watched it still.
She doesn't. We watched the originals. Yeah, exactly. Right. What are you doing? So she watched them, but it wasn't because by now social media is out, and I am your father. Everyone knows Vader is Luke's father, right?
Yeah.
Even if you haven't watched Star Wars. But I wanted it to be oh my God, mind blown. This guy's his dad, it's just
it's very
because I there's stories that I hear of people that watched it for the very first time and were just holy crap, that was insane.
Yeah. So. I don't think I understood the magnitude when I watched it. I could have probably been around the same age my mom exposed me to it on the VHSs.
Same.
I think they had re-released the
I have the gold one where they add
the CGI.
But what's his name? Jabba the Hutt, walk in.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Well, that's the only one I remember. I think it's when they did all the extra CGI and they re-released them on VHS. I think they were gold or whatever.
Yeah, and then the whole who shot first. Well, so in the when they redid it, they got it to where what's his name shoot first?
Was it Greedo? Guido. I should not say that. I'm
say
canceled. And we're done. That's it. Canceled. Greedo, right?
I guess I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan.
It doesn't matter because he didn't shoot first. He died.
Yeah.
But he was a Rhodian, and they tried to make it as though Han was not a dirtbag, even though he's the biggest dirtbag of the entire series.
He leaves him.
Yeah.
He leaves him.
And, I mean, we don't necessarily... Oh, my gosh, I have to turn that off. We don't necessarily have to talk about it too much, but he's like a dirtbag throughout the entire franchise.
Yeah.
He, like, is a dirtbag dad.
And then he redeems himself at the very end of all 3 movies.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
of course.
just like... But by then, it's like, you're a dirtbag, bro. Come on.
Yeah. He was
all this other stuff.
Yeah. He definitely was a great contributor to the cause, but in regard to being a husband and a father...
Terrible.
Yeah. Terrible. Dirtbag. Yeah. But I mean, it's Harrison Ford. He can do what he wants, you know?
He's Indiana Jones.
It's Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Do whatever he wants.
It belongs in a museum. All right. You are in training as a Padawan.
Yeah.
And you come to a device that will transport you to any time in the Star Wars chronology. I don't even know any part of the timeline.
Okay.
I don't know my words good.
Yeah.
Which Jedi or Sith are you choosing to follow under?
Sith or Jedi?
Sith or Jedi?
I mean, it's got to be Vader.
Vader. Okay.
Vader. So it's got to be Vader, right? As he's trying to get the plan, as you know, Leia the plans in Rogue One when he walks into that tunnel. That specific moment, that's where I would want to be.
That movie was okay,
Until
but that scene gave me goosebumps.
Yeah,
and I think I went back to the theater to watch it again just for that part.
Yeah, I did too. And I watched it on Disney Plus like another 10 times.
It's so good. Yeah. Like the music, like.
Did you watch the? Did you go back and watch like reactions of people like on YouTube and like when that scene pops up? You know, people like are recording themselves and watching it. Like that's just.
I've probably watched a couple.
So good.
Yeah,
so
it's
good.
Always fun to watch a Star Wars fanboy or fangirl freak out.
I should have recorded myself.
Should have. You should have. So getting into the beef of the episode, which we're going to be talking about, the show from Disney Plus, Obi-Wan.
Kenobi. Yeah.
I think. Kenobi. I'm sorry. I'm fired. I think we both really enjoyed the fan-made scene.
Oh.
What is it called? Scene like
it was
582 or something.
Yeah, it was old Alec Guinness and Vader.
Yeah.
And he's like, we meet again at last. Like, but their recreation, like the way they redid that.
I would encourage anyone that hasn't seen that, that's a Star Wars fan.
Google it, YouTube
I will put the link to the video in the description just so y'all can check it out. They basically redo that scene in The New Hope where Obi-Wan essentially gives himself to the Force to allow Vader to strike him down. They recreate that entire scene like to perfection.
It's 100% to perfection.
Get to that point where I almost cry watching that every single time. Because they layer in like the old quotes from the old movies, like, you know, "You are the chosen one."
Yes.
I hate you. Yeah. Just all the things that that made this encounter so
got built up to that scene.
Yeah,
and this is before they redid that before the Kenobi show.
Yeah,
so you know, essentially that was.
And it doesn't look like it doesn't even look terrible. Like you could tell, like they were using CGI characters, but it didn't look. It didn't look bad.
It didn't take away from the old pieces of the movie. Like it's still an old movie, and it still looked like a scene from that movie.
Right.
But they just kind of CGI'd it just a little bit to make it.
Whoever did that, was so good. They even put the John Williams score in there.
Yeah. Now don't quote, but I don't know 100%. But I heard that guy that did that, they hired him to do some stuff. I'm not. I'd have to, double check that, but
that's interesting.
Yeah,
if he did, he deserves it.
Yeah.
So he was, if what you're saying is true, he was a part of Kenobi. Like I
don't know about Kenobi, but just like Star Wars stuff in general that they've been doing.
That's what's up, dude.
Yeah.
That's the American dream.
Yeah. It's talent.
Okay, so let's get right into it. We're gonna be going over Disney Plus's Kenobi. Victor, give us a quick synopsis of, the premise of the story.
Okay. So you basically have Kenobi. By now, they've done the Order 66. And
what's Order 66?
Order 66 is where the stormtroopers, right? The clone guys, they activate Order 66, and it basically killed off all of the Jedi in existence, right? So that happens in Revenge of the Sith, right? So now you've got, I think it's 10 years between that and Kenobi. So, he's broken. Kenobi is just 100% broken. So the show basically goes through him just being fully broken. He's just a normal guy now. He's even forgotten how to use the Force, and he buries his lightsaber out in the middle of nowhere, and he wants nothing to do with it. And then Leia's stepfather, Organa, right? The Organa
the Organas.
Calls him up and says, "Hey, Leia's been kidnapped by these bounty. I don't know who was like some kind of kidnappers or something."
Yeah, they're probably bounty hunters or something.
But he's like, "Hey, I need you. You said that you would be there for us if we ever needed you." And he's like, "I can't. I don't know how to use the Force anymore." Like, basically, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm not your guy.
Exactly. So it's almost like he's like not scared, but it's just.
He probably was.
It's almost most scared because he knows he's not going to be able to live up to that.
Well, how they remember him.
Exactly, right? So, but he agrees to do it. And he goes through and he looks for Leia. Leia's the little girl, which does an amazing job, right? Goes through that, and it's so good. It's just I don't want to spoil too much of it. I don't know if anybody's seen it. It's been out like 3 years maybe.
Too long. Definitely too late to do an episode like this.
It's never too late for anything Star Wars. Okay.
See, that's basically the premise. Like, it's basically Obi-Wan being employed to go back and rescue Leia.
Right.
And shenanigans happen, and
they introduce the Inquisitors, right? So the Inquisitors are basically from the Rebels cartoon series, which is I recommend you guys watching that 100%. Like, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Filoni is behind that, and I think he's the next George Lucas. So,
I'll take it.
Yeah, so they introduce the Inquisitors, and they got those double-sided lightsaber, the red ones, and of course Vader comes out. Goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah. So I know that you have a lot of positive things to say about the show. So I watched the show way too late. Definitely wanted to do an episode, reviewing. We probably won't go over the play-by-play for episode. I'll let that be for the viewer. We're going to kind of just go over things that we liked and didn't like. In preparation to the podcast, I definitely surrounded myself with I tried to look for negative reviews, but coincidentally, those were the only kind of reviews that I found.
Which are the wrong ones.
There were some things I agree with, but a lot like I didn't agree with that we'll get into. But it just made me realize like how toxic. First of all, nostalgia is so wonderful, but it's terrible at the same time because people they look at something that they viewed as a kid, and when you're a kid, you just believe the magic and majesty.
Yeah, I mean, you have that's in front of you. That expectation, like you're gonna always compare them to episode 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Even 1, 2, and 3 got compared to 4, 5, 6 so much.
Right.
Even if it was George Lucas, but
yeah,
they made all. They got Mandalorian now and Ahsoka and all these other cartoon shows, and
I feel like they all get trashed too.
Yeah, they do.
I just found that I really couldn't find a positive one. Not that I was looking for them, but I guess I was kind of surprised. Yeah. It's just like nostalgia can be very toxic because, especially given the accessibility of information and how people can put their opinions out there and you can find it and digest it. I feel that, and I go into this with a lot of things, and this is kind of like one of the biggest complaints with reviews from fans for anything. If we're talking about like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, video games, or just any sort of media that people consume, is that there's always like an expectation from viewers that the consumers needs need to be met, and I find that to be complete malarkey. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to create a story and you feel that the story wasn't good because it wasn't as you predicted, like, go write your own story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go write your own
100%,
story.
100%.
Like, don't trash somebody else's piece of work because you didn't agree to it.
Yeah.
And so, and the thing is that, like, there's actually a lot of good ideas out there that people come up with. And then what happens is like those ideas go viral. And so people think that that's how the story is going to end or how it should be written. And when it's not fulfilled in that manner, people get upset. And the product is never as good
Right.
as it was intended to be because of, you know, public opinion. And I feel like that's like the biggest drawback with the internet, YouTube, you know, different, you know, medias of information is that if you really want to enjoy something, don't even prep yourself and listen to a review if they're trying to like trash it. Is what I feel like everyone tries to do nowadays anyway.
So
at least with Star Wars.
When I go and watch a show or somebody recommends me a show or I say something, what did the review say? I don't look at reviews at all. Like, I look at reviews after I've seen the show. Like, I don't want to go read a review and then, oh, well, this is this and this and that, and it was terrible because of this. And so then I'm going to go and watch it, and I'm going to look for that specific stuff that those people said.
Right.
So then I'm going to go negative. No, I want to go into a show and just enjoy it because I enjoyed it, not because someone told me to enjoy it or told me not to enjoy it, right? So for me, anything Star Wars, like, I'm going to go into it like, you're giving me bonus stuff right here. Like,
Yeah.
You know, and you're giving me more Star Wars things, and you're expanding the universe, and
Which is all what we wanted anyway to begin with.
Yeah. So,
and now that we have it,
so what I don't get a lot of times is people's, oh, well, here's another Skywalker story, right? But then when people make when all these Filoni and all these guys make a show or a movie, and it doesn't have anything to do with Skywalker, well, where are the lightsabers? Where's Skywalker? Where's Vader? Like,
dude, I'm guilty of all these things. I think we've even discussed this.
Like, that's what you wanted, right? Like,
yeah.
So, you know,
yeah,
it's kind of a.
So so in regard to what you're saying there, I am guilty of having at least a little bit of standards when it comes to Star Wars. Yeah. I will consume most of Star Wars stuff and probably give it a little more leniency than most other people because at the end of the day, like, Star Wars isn't real.
Wait, what? No.
What?
Hold on.
It's not real?
It's true in my house.
The Jedi mind trick works all the time when my wife tells me to do the dishes. I have said this about Star Wars in the past, is that it's hard for me to watch. I said this with the Solo movie. I said this with Rogue One. Yeah. It was hard for me to appreciate the story for what it was as a story in the universe of Star Wars because I wasn't getting Jedi. I wasn't getting the lightsaber duels. I wasn't getting the Force, like the things that made Star Wars for me Star Wars. Given that, I recognize that my bias will always inhibit me to like these shows less than they ought to be liked, and I recognize that, so I try to put a lens of positivity when I watch these shows. It oftentimes doesn't work because it always goes back to the principle is that what makes Star Wars to me is the Jedi and the Force.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're 100% true.
But I know that other people...
Yeah, so like when you said, you know, Rogue One, and it was okay until Vader came out, right? And then when Vader came out... every time I say Vader, it's like... So when Vader comes out, you said that it just completely changed the movie. For me, even if that scene wouldn't have happened, I think that's the best standalone movie out of all of the movies.
Oh, yeah. Actually, on the second viewing of that movie, I actually was like, I actually do like this movie. You know, it's a good movie.
I mean, just them, like, are they, like, we know what's going to happen, but we still are, like, I was on the edge of my seat, like, are they going to pull this off? Right. Are they going to get the plans out of there the way they did it? I mean, spoiler alert, they die.
What?
Right? They die on the planet they're on, right? I can't remember the name of the planet. But they get the plans out of there, and they get them to Leia, right? So we know what's gonna happen, but even if I knew what was gonna happen, like that was still a really like the whole.
It was a pretty good.
Yeah,
movie.
I was engaged the whole movie, right? So
yeah. On second viewing, I did like the movie more than I did the first, and that's because as I said before, I recognize that's what's going to inhibit me from liking a movie to its fullest potential or how it should be enjoyed, because I know that as a Star Wars fanboy, that's always going to be something that hurts me, and I accept that. As I say that, I watched it a second time and really enjoyed the movie.
I've watched it like 15 times.
I believe it. You are a sick man. Sick with the Force.
Just a little bit.
So a lot of the things that I saw was a lot of negativity with the show, and some of the things that I agreed with, and it was actually very little that I agree with. And I felt that a lot of things that were criticized were actually very dumb criticisms about the show.
They're nitpicking.
Yeah, they're nitpicking. I feel like their objective of their show or the review is just to be negative for the sake of negativity.
Yeah.
And it's gross. It's gross.
It is.
Like, even some of the reasons they bring up, like, makes me uncomfortable, like, talking about, because it's like a reflection of what is the problem with society to begin with.
Yeah.
But
so the character, Reba,
Reva,
right? One of the Inquisitors. So in the cartoon, it's a completely different character. She's got the white face and everything. And
is Reva in the cartoon?
yeah, so it's I don't know if that's the name, but there's 3 Inquisitors, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the Grand Inquisitor, the guy with the cone head, whatever, and then the girl.
So these Inquisitors in the movie, I will admit that I haven't watched a lot of the animated series shows.
Yeah. So yeah, they're
actually in the shows?
They're in Rebels. All 3
Oh,
of them.
wow.
Yeah, all 3 of them are in Rebels.
I bet that would have meant so much more to me if I had watched that then.
And so they're actually the main villains, because during Rebels, there's Vader's not coming out. He comes out in Rebels towards the end, right? But Vader's not in the picture. You got Kanan, which is he was like a Padawan young, and he actually survived or whatever. Him, and then they find another little, what's his name, Ezra, right? They find Ezra, so he trains them or whatever. But the Inquisitors are the ones that they're fighting against. Kanan and the Ezra, they're fighting against the Inquisitors.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool for me to see them in live action in Kenobi.
Yeah.
I thought that was they did a really good job, I think, compared to the Rebels animation series. I think they did a really good job.
I hear lots of good things. The only reason why I don't watch them is because there's so much media now to watch.
Yeah.
It's so, I think I'm just at a busy part in my life with my kids being so small.
Yeah.
That it's hard unless I just put it in front of them and I'm watching it too. But like, I feel like with the hustle and bustle of everyday life, which is the great thing about having kids, you can kind of like put your likes in, see if they like it, and if they do, you're like, okay, good, I put a cheat code in for life.
I got a 16 and 13. I'm still trying to figure that out. So
I'm trying to see what this goes. Okay. In regard to you seeing a live action version of an animated character in the show that you liked, I felt this is kind of anecdotal. I felt the same way about Cad Bane in The Mandalorian.
They did a really good job with that guy. You don't think so?
No, they did.
No, I mean, yeah.
I won't get
100% spot on. Like,
yeah,
the mannerisms, the voice, just
I was excited.
His personality, like
when it showed him walking into town from the distance, I knew exactly who it was, and I was geeking out because my wife is watching it with me. She has no idea who this is, and I'm just going, "That's Cad Bane."
That's Cad Bane.
Yeah. So I can't believe that they cameoed this guy, and he actually was like a big character in the show.
Yeah.
So good.
So he's in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And then he also comes out in Rebels.
Does he really?
He comes out of Rebels a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because he's honestly, in that timeline, he's probably the biggest bounty hunter.
Yeah. I mean, he was a big deal in the Clone Wars. Like, he was a huge deal.
So it's like, to see that, I mean, that did he was in Mandalorian, right? That's where he came, Was it? Yeah. Or Boba Fett.
I think it was Boba Fett.
Was it Boba Fett?
Yeah, I think it was Boba Fett.
But I mean,
which is a great show.
The eyes, everything.
Yeah, he looked so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and in regard to seeing like an animated.
It's hard, like to get that to kind of like get similar to where from the animated to transfer into the live action. I think it's hard.
Yeah.
So in the animated, the Grand Inquisitor, his head is like
long,
super long. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen pictures. I haven't
So
watched
when
the
I
show.
when the first when
It's
I
the same
saw
character, though?
yeah, same character, same exact character. When I saw it, even the way he talks, everything. When I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, that's him. Like, his face is so fat. Like
He's a fat guy.
yeah. But after watching the show and the way he talks and the way he's moving and stuff, I was like,
I liked him a lot.
This guy's spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, even the way that he was speaking, I was like, man, what a cold calculator.
Yeah.
So the thing that I found, so we can kind of get into the Inquisitors, was that Reba, she's looking for Obi-Wan, and she's basically exemplifying everything that I would assume like an untrained or Sith in training is basically exhibiting, like uncontrolled rage,
Right,
just like
just the
doing things
emotions.
recklessly.
Yeah, taking
which,
over. Yeah.
you know, part of the Sith creed is like, yeah, embrace those things.
Right.
But what is the main Inquisitor's name?
Grand Inquisitor.
Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
I feel like he did such a good job of like basically, you know, telling her like your rage is making you reckless.
Right.
Like this is making like this.
It's crazy coming from a Sith.
Yeah.
Right.
But as an adult, you understand that you use rage as a tool to
Was it controlled?
yeah
chaos?
control your chaos. Like
Yeah.
don't be reckless.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's a place for that, but like we're trying to look for somebody. You
Right.
don't just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
thought that was interesting that you saw that kind of dynamic between the different characters. You know, Reba's probably an excellent, you know, fighter in an army in a battlefield because
Right.
she's just going to slaughter
She's
everything.
gonna go
And then he's kind of
head
like
first and-
a general that's going to be like tactician,
calculate it. Yeah.
which was really cool, which is why he's the Grand Inquisitor.
Which is, I mean, if you watch the whole show,
We're getting into spoilers at this point, so
Yeah, sorry,
you,
guys.
No, yeah. So if you haven't clicked off, and
it's been 3 years, by the way.
it's been 3 years, for all 2 viewers that's watching this. But yeah, go ahead, finish. What you're
I mean,
saying.
you know, it's so if I can
No,
say
go
you,
for it.
right? So,
All
the
hands
Grand
on deck.
Inquisitor gets stabbed, right?
Yeah,
And he doesn't die, right?
but that seems to be a theme in the show.
So what's his name? Hey, I have your son. And, you know, the guy that they kidnap his kids in every freaking movie.
Taken.
Qui-Gon.
Yeah, Qui-Gon.
Right?
Liam
Taken.
Neeson.
Liam Neeson, right? So
I have
he's
your daughter.
He's fucking pissed, right? Because
Who's
got
pissed?
Liam Neeson,
Okay,
Qui-Gon
and-
Jinn, right?
yeah.
And because he's watching all these movies and these animated shows, and he's like, wait, they got stabbed the same way I did, and I freaking died.
Yeah.
But Reba gets stabbed, the Grand Inquisitor gets stabbed, one of the girls from Rebels, actually on Ahsoka, gets stabbed. She lived so Qui-Gon's like,
Liam
Bro.
Neeson or Qui-Gon?
well, Liam Neeson, the actor,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, the actor.
So he's like, bro, what's going on? Like, I got stabbed and I got written off the freaking movie.
So let me steel man you. Let me play devil's advocate for this thing. If you look at all of it's almost like all the characters named were all Sith, right? Was there anyone else that you named the Jedi for?
No, I think that's
Sorry, I think you were
Yeah.
getting some feedback. The Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon,
yeah.
when he dies,
Okay.
look at the paradigm difference between the Sith and the Jedi. From an actor standpoint, I can see why that would be frustrating because, you know, if you like the character, you want to play the character, you're no longer allowed to do it because you die.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be a part of
Right,
it.
right.
That's probably frustrating. But from a character standpoint,
Spoiler alert, he comes back.
from a character standpoint, the Jedi aren't self-serving. They serve the Force and the greater good.
Right.
Qui-Gon, if he had a choice, I believe would have chose to die anyway to be the catalyst so Obi-Wan could become the Jedi he needed to be to fulfill the prophecy.
So Obi-Wan would not have trained
Anakin. He probably would have been sent off to someone else.
if Qui-Gon doesn't die.
And the dude was wise.
Because that was his dying wish. Right?
Yeah.
I want
His
you to take-
Make-A-Wish Foundation was for Obi-Wan
It was.
to train. Yeah.
So he tells him, I want you to train him. So the whole movie, Obi-Wan's like, no, this guy's he's reckless, he's a little kid, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So at the very end, he's like, okay, Master, I will. So
Yeah.
rest is history.
So Qui-Gon, I feel like would
It's
have
all
probably
Obi-Wan's
made that
fault.
decision anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's not self-serving. Like he's going to serve the Force and for the greater good. He understood that his purpose in life was to bring balance to the Force, and if his role in that course was to put Obi-Wan in the position to do so, then his purpose was served.
Right.
There's no reason for him to live, which I think is like such a honorable and almost foreign idea for us as humans to accept that it's not my time to go, but your time to go could serve for purpose.
Yeah. So, and I mean, in Kenobi, right? It's almost like the whole scene with Vader and Kenobi in New Hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Kenobi kind of just gives himself up,
Right?
Because he knows it's gonna help Luke more if he's gone and is able to, communicate ghosts and all that stuff.
Right.
So that's kind of what Qui-Gon does. So in Kenobi, which is pretty cool that they introduced that, and Qui-Gon comes out as like, "You're ready."
And in the show,
You
he's
weren't
like
ready
calling
before.
out to Qui-Gon multiple times.
Oh yeah, and he's just not responding.
He's not responding.
And I think part of it was just because of the all the stuff that happened in Revenge of the Sith, where
Right.
In Kenobi he feels like he failed Anakin, right? That it's his fault that Anakin is who he is now. So I think that's kind of where it hit him really hard. And this show clears up a lot of things for Kenobi.
Yeah.
Like so much.
I'll go into one of the criticisms that I heard a lot with a lot of the reviews that I listened to in preparation to this recording was that people were basically ragging and dogging on Obi-Wan as a character for being sloppy, for being disconnected from the Force, from his inability to accept the responsibility to go to Leia, his inability to fight Vader on their first encounter whenever they had before the big fire scene.
Right.
People were like, oh, Obi-Wan's supposed to be this great Jedi, and people don't understand like in my job, in my experience when I come, you have to understand that Obi-Wan is basically a veteran of war.
Right.
We're not talking like a
he's
9
been
months.
through it.
Not to say anything negative about any service members. I love service members. I'm a service member, veteran myself. When you come across someone that has been through that kind of trauma, there's some people that recover from that and process that stuff appropriately and do well. But there's also a lot more people who don't process that
Right.
and
They carry it,
like less
They carry
of a
that with them,
person.
yeah.
And it wasn't like Obi-Wan had a good support system post-war. He went into hiding.
He had zero support.
Yeah, he went into hiding.
Yeah.
He lived by himself in a cave. He was scared for his life because every single person that he knew was dead.
Yeah.
The person that he associated with and was supposed to train and was basically, turned evil was the cause of all that.
Yeah.
And so he's carrying so much guilt. Like you can't even imagine what that kind of guilt would feel like for you being responsible for the person who annihilated or orchestrated or executed, thousands of people.
Yeah.
And carrying that with you along with the horrors of war.
And he doesn't even know that he's still alive.
At this point, yeah.
So Kenobi is also, he's lost his best friend essentially. And that's what he killed his best friend.
Yeah, he thought he killed him. Yeah.
Right. So he had to kill him. So he doesn't even know that he's alive. So to go through all, losing his best friend and just his best friend killed all these people, these Jedis that were supposed to bring balance. He was the chosen one, right?
Yeah.
He says, you were the chosen one.
Yeah. And so you got this broken man, and people dog on him for not wanting to accept this mission to go get Leia, who you had mentioned before. The premise of the show is for Obi-Wan to go rescue Leia, who has been kidnapped by the Inquisitors. He doesn't accept it because he's scared. Like he doesn't want to go back and relive those horrors again.
Yeah.
And people were like, "You're supposed to be a big hero." Like, no, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not a hero. There was nowhere in that show that presented him as a hero. He's a man in hiding
He's
with PTSD. And
I mean, the Jedi, they weren't heroes. They were they were protectors.
Right. Well, they were more involved in a war, a war that they should not have been involved with to begin with, because they're basically a religious.
Because of
the Republic.
Palpatine, right? He orchestrated that whole thing about the clone, the troop.
Well, I would say even before then, they were probably way too involved in it to begin with.
Yeah.
Like I think Yoda was probably the only one that was saying, like, we're getting way too involved with this.
Right. This is not our war.
Conflict.
Yeah. So it's tough, man. So like seeing Kenobi go through all that, it was just, for me, like how you said, man, all these, like when the show was coming out, because they were releasing it one episode at a time, right? And I watched it when it came out. So I was reading all these reviews after each episode, and how you were saying that he's a punk, and he doesn't want to go and fight for her, and he said he was gonna always protect her, and he's forgotten how to do everything.
Right. He buried his lightsaber.
He's become a normal guy. Like he's working on some kind of mill, right? Like a
meat factory.
Yeah,
like
he even
assembly line.
He even like steals some, right? You see him, he steals it.
You got a field, yeah.
So
this is the best cut right here.
So, yeah. So it's tough. For me, it was tough to see it too, man.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, this is where.
Because you love Obi-Wan,
yeah,
man.
I mean,
He was definitely one of the Jedi that related mostly probably to the viewers, because there's not anyone that goes through life who is a pious, like, I will never give into conflict. I will always be positive. Like, those people don't exist. You know what I mean? Like, everyone gives into their carnal urges.
Yeah.
And it seemed that Obi-Wan was the only one that was kind of, was towing that line, throughout the original trilogy, throughout the Clone Wars, but was still able to look at those temptations and be like, no, I can't make that decision. Right. Which to me was like a stronger presentation of will than
willpower.
Than the rest of the Jedi. Because most people can't fight those temptations, but Obi-Wan did.
Anakin's a prime example, right? Hello.
Amen. Preach, brother. So yeah, there was a lot of negativity based on that aspect with Obi-Wan that I did not appreciate, because it's like, first of all, you go fight a war like that with lightsabers, and you go and do all that. Can you do that? Shut up.
And chop your best friend in half.
Yeah, leave him to burn to death.
Yeah,
screaming, "I hate you!" You know what I mean? Like, dude. So that was one of the criticisms that I saw a pattern of with all the things, and I was just like, dog, please stop. That doesn't make any sense. For Obi-Wan to come out and just be a baller and kill everyone, A, would not make for a good story, and B, would not even be accurate. C, it doesn't make sense.
And it was these like super fans coming out and just trashing the show. Yeah. Like trashing it.
Don't get me wrong. There are things that I don't like about the show we'll get into, but that to me is not a legitimate argument. That's a stupid one. Another criticism that I found that people were talking about was that the Organas were, why did they go to Kenobi to begin with when they could have used the resources of Alderaan to go get Leia back? First of all, the political climate, which is laid out in the first episode, is very unstable. Mm-hmm. You have people that are diplomatically speaking to, what's the character's name?
The dad?
Yeah.
Organa.
We'll just say Dad Organa.
Dad Organa, yeah.
Yeah, Father Organa. They're talking to him.
Jimmy Smits.
They're talking to him, and he's talking about how delicate the political situation is. You have a political party, the Empire, and a diminishing republic that's going on right now in the political, field. And if
this is Princess Leia,
this
is not just some kid. This is
Princess Leia, and even
a Skywalker.
Yeah, like which they're trying, the identity for which they're trying to hide.
100%.
You don't want to throw an entire army to go look for Princess Leia, expose her for who she really is, let alone move against the Empire publicly, even though that was probably a covert mission from the Empire. You're only going to create discord. So to enlist someone to go onto a covert operation was the only thing that made sense.
That knows who she exactly is, who she really is.
There didn't need an explanation as to what it was.
Exactly. So it's like...
So there was no way that made sense to me. Like, people were like, he should have employed, Alderaan's resources to go get it back. No. That's why you're not in politics. Please stay and do negative reviews on TV shows, please.
And they don't have lightsabers.
And they don't... Yeah. It's not real. It's not real Star Wars. So that was another thing that bugged me too. It's like, what? So you're gonna go on full scale war? Like, I know you want to do that in your heart. I'm sure that's what he wanted to do, but understood that was not the right decision. You can't do that. What are you talking about? So that was another thing. Was there anything that you heard, like any criticisms that you didn't agree with?
I mean, just that whole thing, like the whole Obi-Wan not being powerful, and then the whole thing with Luke. Well, Obi-Wan was supposed to be protecting Luke. What's he doing going for Leia? Like,
I mean, what was he supposed to do?
Yeah. They're calling him, man.
Yeah, they're calling him to a mission, and it's like
it's Obi-Wan.
Luke was fine. Like, I understand they weren't because the Inquisitors were there, but like, if you're triaging problems, you got one that's could be in danger but not in danger now, and one that's life is at stake right now. You're going to go address that problem.
She got kidnapped.
Yeah, like that's a problem. That's an immediate problem. You have to go address that. Yeah. So, you abandoned Luke. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And the parents didn't want at the time. I mean, this is before New Hope. They didn't want Obi-Wan to associate with Luke at all. Like, in the show, they're just like, stay away from him. Like,
yeah. And they kind of did him respect too by not diming him out whenever Reva was out there.
Yeah,
looking for him.
That was.
Which I was giving props to, Uncle Ben. I was like, man.
I mean, not him and what's her name, the wife.
Yeah, they're OGs, dude.
Man,
but they did exactly what any other parent would have done for their kid.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
But yeah, so what we'll go into. I think this is like the last like outside criticism that I didn't agree with. They were talking about Reva as like a flawed character.
So, and I think part of that is because, how I said in the show, in the Rebels, it's not the same character. So they changed her character and all this stuff, and then, they focused a lot of the show on her. But I go back to, you got to have different storylines. Like, you can't just have one storyline and it's just going to get stagnant. To me, it'll just get stagnant. So to have Reba, and she was a Padawan. She was in the little class that.
Mm-hmm. Was that the same girl in the scene?
Yeah, the little girl in the scene.
I didn't piece
the
that
little girl
together.
in the scene. So the little girl in the scene, and so in the show, she's looking for Obi-Wan, but she's looking for Obi-Wan because she wants to get Vader to come out, because she wants Vader. She wants Anakin, because when they were little, the whole Order 66 comes out, and she comes out, and he goes, and there was like 5 or 6 little Padawans with her and stuff, and he kills them all, and she pretends like she's dead, so he leaves. But
Vader,
Vader comes out. Anakin at the time, that was her family, because she didn't have a family. That the Padawans, that was her family. So Vader, Anakin, kills her entire family. So she's seeking revenge, and she's drawing out Obi-Wan so that Obi-Wan can draw out Vader, so that she can come in and So I know people are like, oh, Reba, you don't need to have her in the show, and why did you do that?
No, she was completely essential.
Yeah, I think she was very essential.
They were basically saying like, oh, she, like, the whole premise of her trying to get revenge was stupid. Her having like an underlying like honorable reason for doing this was dumb. Her going down a path of revenge was dumb. Like, all that stuff was completely necessary. Like, her actual
100%.
story arc was probably the best part of the story.
I think it was,
as sloppy as it was, like, the bones of the story was good. I don't think it was like perfectly portrayed. It could have been done better, which I'll get into the criticisms. But like, that overall story, character, and development for her was like paramount, even to the very end that I'll go into.
Because she was the only one that wanted to seek out Obi-Wan. That wanted to seek out Obi-Wan, because the Grand Inquisitor was like, no, we need to go over here, leave him alone. Like, stop wasting your time on one Jedi when we can go find 20 other Jedis that may be out there or something.
Yeah.
And Reba was like, no, I got to find this guy because I want my revenge on Vader.
Yeah.
And nobody even knew that at the time until you started getting the flashbacks. And
I think like her character development with her, surviving the attack from Anakin, to basically, embracing the dark side, people were saying, I mean, what she did. I mean, her crimes are inexcusable, right? She killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she's a great person, but it's the story of, the dark hero, the tragic hero. She was trying
kill or be killed.
Yeah. Right? She was trying to survive. Like, yes, she was doing all this revenge, which is, the Sith way. But she was trying to, then, I'm saying, but like I'm trying to rationale or justify her actions. But at the end of the, she goes through this stuff. She does whatever she can do necessary to get into position to where she can strike Vader down.
Which doesn't work.
Which doesn't work. Ends up getting impaled again, which seems to be a theme by getting impaled but surviving.
Yeah. It depends on what side.
Yeah. He probably hit her in the same side. Yeah. The same side. So she goes and she finally fights Vader, and she gets destroyed. Like Vader just makes small work out of her.
He doesn't even like.
He's like just
you're not even
moving around like the Matrix, just like moving her shit, not even like striking her with the lightsaber, just using force push on her, not even like.
Yeah, did he even take his lightsaber out?
The fact, so might I add, no, he did. He took his lightsaber. He took it at the very end when he. Cut
I just remember he's like, and he just goes flying.
Yeah. The fact that when that first ship took off and Vader force pulled that bitch back down to the ground, I was literally like, yes, show me the force.
So just seeing the strength, the power,
he was holding back so long.
Man, bro, that's why I'm sitting, and that's why he's my favorite character, and that scene, all that just proved why he was just, the best. It was in the late 70s, early 80s. He was, for some kids, Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers.
The monster.
He was the monster because he was just this intimidating 7-foot guy, just all black with this crazy voice, and it's
Mufasa.
It's awesome, right?
It's Mufasa,
right?
Hey, rest in peace, Tom.
There you go.
Yeah, so they end up having their fight, and stupid for her, like she was so that was like her one. The only thing for me was the one flaw that she had that I cannot excuse is that you had all these years putting yourself in this position, and you had a semi-capable Jedi, Kenobi, that could have helped you, but you dismissed him.
He tells her too.
Yeah, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and
that was to me her character flaw, and not like a miswrite or like bad writing. It was purposely done. Like,
right.
She was
It
was purposely done. It was to show you that she was that blinded by rage.
Right.
But she could have had more of a chance to do it. Even though we didn't see Kenobi until like the next episode really go full Super Saiyan mode on him.
Which was
but
that's why that's why Anakin was the Padawan.
Yeah.
The flashbacks that they have, the fight scenes from it's from I think it was from Clone Wars. Not Clone Wars, episode 2.
Yeah.
Where they go back in time and they're training and they're fighting, and he's telling Anakin, "You're rushing it. And that's exactly what happens in the show.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, she gets owned. So that's my whole thing with Reva. Even up to the very end, whenever they were like, "Oh, well, then she flies to Tatooine and basically." Is going to kill Luke, and then at the last minute,
that's the one thing. So she hears the message, right? Luke, and this and that. She finds out who he is. I don't know if she 100% knows that that's Anakin's son.
I didn't get the impression.
Right? I'm not sure, right? But
the only motivation that I can see is that she was just trying. But no, she knew at that point because of the transmission.
Right. Okay. And
so she found the transmission that just so happenly fell down in front of her. That's like kind of like a loose thing, but whatever. She finds out that Luke is actually related to Leia, who is another Force user.
Right.
But do we know that they're the kids of
that's
Vader?
What I'm saying. I don't think they do. So that's why I didn't understand.
It was just like another way to draw Obi-Wan, maybe.
I think that's what it was. I think I'm not.
Because they know that. Because I think at this point, like she wants to, like again, she's like blinded by this rage. Maybe she wants. Maybe at this point she wants to kill Obi-Wan. Like she lost. She's like unstable, and she's like, "What can I do to wound Obi-Wan?" She just wants to wound somebody.
Yeah.
So maybe that was why. But then while she's going down into the ravine and, looking for Luke, she's basically reminded of herself as a kid.
Right. That was like cool. I like that.
I like that too.
Right. It's like, okay, it all makes sense now for her. Like,
yeah, like how could you be so blind? Like remember where you came from.
Right.
Like this is why. Do you want this boy to go through all of the pain that you went through?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the criticism from that part is that she came back only for Obi-Wan to come back last minute and do absolutely nothing. Luke to go back to the family, and then, Obi-Wan not like try her or kill her or do these things. But and people were like, why didn't Obi-Wan do anything? And it's like, do y'all not understand like what the Jedi are?
Yeah.
Like the people that say like he should have killed her they're not Jedi. Like that's not the light side of the Force. It's all about redemption. If Anakin had been turned and then somehow Obi-Wan talked him out of going with Palpatine, but had still committed these crimes, Obi-Wan would not have killed Anakin.
Right.
They would have used Anakin. Like, would he have been like a battle, like a fighter? No. He probably would have, worked in the Jedi Academy if they were ever to rebuild one.
Right.
And he would have his purpose would be like to stress the importance of why you don't give into the dark side. Like there is redemption with people, and I think like redemption is like one of the most powerful elements in any sort of story whatsoever. Yeah. Is redemption, because as flawed as we are as human beings, we don't do this because have a malice heart. Like we just are screwed up, and everyone deserves a second chance.
Full circle. Anakin gets his redemption.
Yeah.
In Return of the Jedi, where he picks up Palpatine and is like,
prophecy fulfilled.
The chosen one. He was the chosen one.
He was always the chosen one.
He was always the chosen one.
No matter what path he took, the path was always going to lead.
He did a bunch of crazy stuff and he killed a bunch of people, but
just like Reva. But yet we celebrate Vader.
It all worked out.
So I think the purpose better served Obi-Wan. Like Obi-Wan is very much aware that there is a purpose, even though you come from a broken history. There's a bigger purpose you can serve by being an example of what redemption is and how you can influence others. Because you can never have peace if you're constantly making someone pay for someone else's sins. It's just a vicious cycle. You're always going to hurt someone else, and hurt's going to create hurt. Like the only way to create peace is have the buck stop right here and just say peace.
100%. Yeah.
Well, I got really political. So yeah, I think Obi-Wan saw that her purpose is better served as,
And I don't know. I think it kind of died down, but once the show finished, like maybe 6 months, 4-6 months, people were actually saying, is Reba gonna get a spin-off show on her own?
I'd watch it.
I would too. I think at this point, I don't think they're gonna do it anymore.
Yeah.
But that's something they definitely.
I think that's a whole other toxic thing, but
yeah. So even if they don't give her own show, she can still be in another show if they do that timeline or anything like. I just don't. It'll be tough just because of where that timeline is.
Yeah.
I think they could do something with Obi-Wan and what's his name, Maul. That would be.
Give me that, dog. Give me that.
Did you watch?
No. Oh God. I will go to bed not seeing. I will be on my deathbed not seeing it, waiting for the live action.
So in Rebels, towards the end of Rebels, Rebels, he finds Obi-Wan. They find each other. Did you see it?
I've seen the scene.
Oh, the whole thing where when Qui-Gon dies, Darth Maul strikes him a certain way, right? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh,
the way that
poetic, man.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Filoni is the next George Lucas, because he just takes those little things,
the
little details, and just like, let me just slip that right in.
Yeah.
I mean, and I didn't catch it until I saw it on YouTube. It was a YouTube short, and did you guys? So whenever he did this, and he does the move, and
where they break it down.
Oh man,
yeah,
that was like,
give me live action, dude. I feel like if you're gonna do Kenobi again, you already know we're gonna give us a story that we already know. Just give us them all. It's
like Rogue One. We know what's gonna happen. I don't care.
Yeah,
I want to see it.
Show me with modern technology.
Show me. Yeah, you're lying. You don't have it. Just show me. Prove it.
Prove it. You don't have it. So yeah.
I mean, it's
So okay, what? Okay, was there any criticisms about the show that you had,
I mean, not really, man.
Victor? So you have to understand, Victor.
I'm pro Star Wars. Like
I am too. I am too. I really am.
It's really tough for me to like say anything bad about Star Wars. I know that's so like, the whole thing about Reba going to Luke. That's something. I did the reason the Obi-Wan being weak. It kind of got me a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, man, it's like how you said, it's been years and he went through all this stuff, and so it's understandable. It's really hard.
It's not how I wanted to see him.
Right.
It's not, I'm saying it's not how I wanted to see him.
I think that's what it is. I wanted to see him like this badass that just took down Anakin and chopped him in half, and
he's just out there in the desert practicing every day.
But it was the complete opposite, man. He killed his best friend and just broke him.
Yeah, he's trying to bury it.
But I don't. Man, it was just for me. It was a good show, and I watched like all the behind the scenes stuff, and like I'm big on nostalgia, like like how you said. So to see like Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen like see each other for the first time. I think it was a scene like in the desert where Hayden Christensen is like out in the middle of nowhere, and it was just him shooting that scene, and Obi-Wan was like with the cameras like real far away. So Hayden Christensen is looking for him so he can like say hi or something. He's just like, oh, I guess he's not here. So then he says, Kenobi. He screams out Kenobi, like, well, before they're gonna shoot, and then Ewan McGregor just kind of like, so he sees him, and then that was kind of like, wow, he's here. And then when they actually see each other, they like hug. It was just
Don't cry.
20 is what? What is it? 20 years, right? Like 15.
Whenever they see each other?
No, I mean, so between like, what is it? Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Between Revenge of the Sith and Kenobi.
Actual time of recording, or like the chronological time of how it fits in the story? Like
actual time. Like
recording?
Where they've actually like worked together again.
Oh, man, dude.
Like,
I mean, it's got to be like 20 years.
That's what I'm saying. So it's so it's for
and
them.
Christensen didn't even look like, I mean, you could tell that he aged, but like he didn't look bad.
I mean, they made Kenobi look good too.
Yeah.
Just, probably the beard.
Yeah. It's like something about like a man can really, make aging okay. You know?
Yeah.
With like beard and stuff like that. It's like you can really, even if you like throw the grays in there, like it's just like, nah, he didn't age. Like now he just looks like a
a wiser
bearded man. Like it's not like, you know what I mean?
He's still a 20-year-old, just
he's still 20.
White beard.
Yeah. It's called dye, idiot.
Yeah.
Let's go into the likes, man. Let's go into the likes.
I mean, we'll be here all day.
Pick. All right, so I think the 3 likes that we choose are probably going to be the same likes. So before I go into that, let me just do like the critics that I found that I didn't like. You said you liked Leia's character. I did not.
The actress
itself.
Okay.
Like she's a cute girl. She's got she can act. She plays a sassy character.
Yeah.
I just don't think that she was the right choice for that role.
Okay.
She was supposed to be 10 years old, but she was definitely like 6. She ran like a 3-year-old. The scenes that when she was running from Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers was very aggravating to me. And just watching like adults just kind of like act like they couldn't catch her, and like you could tell like the adults were running much slower than they possibly could, and they're kind of just like, oh no, she released a tree branch. I can't get over this tree branch that's like this big. Oh no,
my arms are.
It looked like a Power Ranger episode.
Yeah.
Like they were just like all the putties were like
robotic.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then the same thing with Kenobi chasing her in the streets. I'm like snatched her, like stop doing that, little girl.
Yeah,
we're leaving.
Stay put.
Yeah. And then, like, them trying to sneak her out from the underwater base, like, looked like the dude was, like, they looked like a terrible horse costume. Like, it was just like, what is going on? Like, you could have put her in like, anything.
Yeah.
You could have literally just been carrying her out. Not every single stormtrooper knows who this little girl is. Like, that's probably a need-to-know, top secret, classified piece of information that not everybody knows. Like, oh, it's a little girl, whatever. And then my last thing was, like, why was Reva trying to interrogate... If we're going to pretend that the 6-year-old is a 10-year-old, why is Reva trying to interrogate the deep escape plans, that the Resistance has from a 10-year-old. Like, did you really think, Reva, that this 10-year-old was going to have all the top secret plans? Like, I just thought it was so goofy.
Yeah. So
so I think it was episode 5. Was it 5?
It was.
Was
it may have been
the goofiest episode.
Yeah, it was either 5 or 6. It was towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just goofy.
They were in the cave, and she finds her.
Well, no. I think that was 4. I'm talking about the episode after where like they already got her, and like Reva's like interrogating, like, "Where's your father hiding the escape routes for all the Resistance?" Is like, how is this little girl gonna know that?
Leia's like, I'm not telling you anything.
Yeah.
It's Leia though, man.
It's Leia, but it's like, why? Like, there could have been like another like thing where they were just like torturing her to make it more like heart wrenching.
Yeah.
But they were just like interrogating her,
talking to her.
Like, why are you asking these questions for like to get information from a 10-year-old? This 10-year-old doesn't know.
So I thought she was gonna use how she used it on the guy in the alleyway. Forgot his name.
But for what?
The fake Jedi, right?
Yeah, it's a great character, by the way. I thought it was so great. That guy, I don't know his name, but he's so hilarious.
Funny. He's so funny. Yeah, he plays anything he does. He plays really good.
So I'll hear you. Okay, so she does the.
So
she does
yeah,
the
right.
thing.
So she. Why didn't she do that? Because I think if she would have, I think that could have been a moment where Leia could have like, the Skywalker's gonna take over, right? And it's gonna be like she's not gonna be like no, but she's gonna be very strong minded and Reba's gonna be like, wait, why can't I extract anything from this little girl?
Yeah,
I think that could have been something,
but my thing is this: is that why does Reba think that Leia, as a 10-year-old, has the information of secret routes for the Resistance?
So I know so if you notice, she does say, "You're not just some normal little." Like I think she, at one point she does say you're smart. Like
well, I think she understands
like
that, that she's important,
right? Like what you're doing, type thing, right?
But like as a story, like why would a 10-year-old know that information?
Yeah.
Like I don't think Daddy Organa is going like, all right, Leia, it's 2:00. That means it's secret passageway for Resistance class. Right here on Tatooine, we have Exhibit A from Mos Eisley. If you're a part of the Resistance, you can go down to the back. You know what I mean? Like,
did she know? I think I think she did know.
Did she?
Yeah,
she might have known where that specific one was where she got caught. But she was asking questions like, where are all the... Like, what? Like, I'm 10 years old, lady.
I wonder if it was
like,
because...
I'm worried about my robot that you, like, took from me.
Like, you made him evil.
Yeah, like, it just seemed kind of goofy. Like, it was like a goofy interaction.
So, in the behind the scenes, they show her, like, acting and them, like, telling her what to do and where to go and stuff. And there's a couple parts where she's actually like, the director's like, okay, do this and do that, and she's like, okay, do you want me to do this also? And I can kind of like, so she's like improvising the characters. I mean, for however old she is in real life, I mean, I think that's pretty good. Yeah,
well, yeah. So I say all to say, like, I don't think anything's wrong with the actual person playing the character.
No.
Like, I just feel like for story rise, like, why did they try to make this little girl older than she was and then try to treat her as an adult as if she knew some sort of like master plan from the Resistance? I was like, I feel like they could have did something else to kind of give her a hard time. I just thought it was kind of goofy. Yeah. Not saying that she shouldn't have been captured. That was the only way that could have played out.
Right.
But I just thought that was kind of weird. Small gripe. Doesn't really. Yeah. All right. Things that you liked. Give me 2 things that you liked.
I mean, the fight scene.
Yeah, that was one of mine.
I mean, that's all I got to say. The fight scene. I don't even have to. The other thing I liked was the transformation of Obi-Wan, kind of like remembering everything and just going through everything and flashing back and going through what he went through. And for him, I feel like it was almost like closure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it not almost. It definitely, for me, it was definitely closure.
No, I mean, it's for sure closure.
Because
even though he didn't close it, but
yeah. So he even tells
which
him,
fits with his character. I don't disagree with what he did.
So,
I think that's what Obi-Wan would have done.
Right. So he calls him the whole episode. Episode 1, 2, and 3. He's calling him Anakin. That's his name, Anakin. At the very end, when he says goodbye, Darth.
He acknowledges
he's accepted the fact that his friend is gone.
Yeah.
Right? And I think at that point he fully accepts it and just it's like, all right, now I need to focus on these 2 kids. And,
Yeah.
Why he didn't kill him? I think that just kind of.
Well, he
In
couldn't
the end, it's still his. It's still, it's still.
He's always gonna have a soft spot,
right? It's and he's a Jedi, right? He's they don't kill.
And he was saying that in the flashbacks, which was actually one of my favorite parts of the series. That regrettably was only in the last 2 episodes.
The fight scene.
Or no, like their flashbacks of them training. Like I feel like they could have had more flashback scenes throughout the entire show.
I think they definitely could have.
They messed that up so badly.
Yeah.
Like
I think a lot of people were even saying they would have wanted wanted to see them in those clone suits that they used to wear, like in Clone Wars.
Yeah,
that would have been something like, because man, just all the stuff that they've been through, that would have been really cool to see.
That's your ride or die, dog. Like
so to just have battle. Like, what was it, 10 minutes of just that scene?
There was like very important takeaways. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of like exposure, like what made Anakin fall, like his mentality. Like it was great.
I mean, that's how Obi-Wan was able to get away.
Yeah,
because he kind of like was too focused on wanting to destroy that, and then the other ship just comes and takes off.
Yeah,
so it's like,
yeah, definitely like the Dragon Ball Z style fight at the end was super awesome.
Yeah.
Even leaving Darth Vader alive after clearly besting him again. Was classic Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
He doesn't kill Darth Vader. Spoiler alert: he's in the original trilogy, so it wouldn't make sense to kill him. So for anyone to criticize that, like, there wouldn't
be a New Hope.
Yeah. And then B, like, at the end of the day, even though he acknowledged him as, Anakin's dead, and I acknowledge you now as Darth,
right?
I still can't. Just because I recognize you for evil doesn't click me as like a machine and said, now you have to die. Like, he can't kill him. He doesn't want to.
And also, like...
And I think, which brings me to a theory... Well, go ahead, say what you were saying.
No, I was just... So, when Anakin says, you didn't kill Anakin, I did. That also, like, for Obi-Wan is like almost like a relief, like, okay, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, release that burden.
Right. I'm good now. I can accept the fact that everything that happened wasn't on me.
Yeah, like like he is much of a piece of shit he was, like he accepted accountability for that.
Exactly.
Like, you didn't do this. I did.
Yeah, that was
I think somewhere in that time, and I'm not sure if he spoke to Qui-Gon at this time, but I think he was seeing the big picture that there might be something past what was going on in the immediate show, that Darth Vader needed to live.
Yeah.
Is that he should have killed him. Well, but I mean, he trusted Qui-Gon.
Right? He's the chosen one.
He's the chosen one. So if he like, me killing him doesn't bring balance to the Force right now.
Exactly.
Because there's still turmoil.
Man, that's just...
Yeah, so that leads me to believe that at that time, he was wise enough to discern, like, I can't kill him. He didn't want to kill him. I'm not going to kill him. I'm not, because there's still a role for Vader to play. And he could have sensed something right there.
Yeah.
He could have sensed something with Vader that wasn't explained, here, viewer, this is why this happened. Like, there was like an internal thing, like, there's still something there.
Yeah.
Like, you accepted accountability. You weren't out to blame everyone else. Like, the fact that you accepted that shows me that there might be something in there for you, and I'm going to let this play.
Or it's like, it's not my job. It's not going to be my job to get you back. I'm going to leave it all up to Luke.
Yeah, because he knew that that was what's going to happen.
Right. He's like, Luke is going to be the one, I feel like, for him. Yeah. Dang. And that's exactly what happens. Luke is the only one that was able to bring him back. So in Rebels, the whole fight scene, right? He jumps on the rock and he strikes him down and he breaks his helmet, right? So in Rebels, Ahsoka fights Vader also. I don't know if you've ever seen that fight scene.
I didn't watch the video, but I've seen ads for it.
Same, they've got the same type of relationship, right? Same as Obi-Wan. And so Ahsoka breaks the right side of the mask, right? So then years later, they fight in Obi-Wan and Kenobi. Obi-Wan breaks the left side of the mask, right? So then you go and you keep Return of the Jedi, and then he dies, and the only person that was able to take the mask off was Luke. Mm-hmm. He fully took that. That was just, for me, it's like, okay, that's...
No, they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
Anyone that complains over those stupid details is like, bro, like you're not even looking at the big picture.
Yeah.
Like you're such a spoiled little trash bag. It's like you think that your opinion is the best opinion, and although you probably have good theories, it just doesn't make sense in the canon of the story.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like write a multiverse story. You know?
And then see how good you are.
Yeah, see how good you are. You
Put it on,
stupid.
Put it on YouTube.
Who makes videos and puts them on YouTube? People with too much time.
Yeah.
So let's give a rating for the show overall.
Out of 10?
0 out of 10.
0 out of 10. Okay.
10 being perfection, 0 being absolute garbage dumpster fire.
Okay. Because of the fight scenes and because of the closure with Obi-Wan and Anakin, I'm gonna give it like an 8.9.
Cool.
Give it like an 8.9.
Right on.
Yep.
I'm very harsh with my ratings. I very rarely give like 10s.
Yeah, same.
9s is probably like the highest I can ever give a show, and I have to be like, or a movie or anything,
Yeah.
and I have to be completely blown away.
I think I have 2 10s in mine. And that's it.
I got to give it a 6.5, and a 6.5 to me is not bad.
Okay.
6.5 to me is definitely like, it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
It's definitely entertaining.
Yeah.
But there were things that I just,
It's a lot of filler.
yeah.
a lot
Well,
of
like for me, I felt like the music wasn't very good. The reason why they would not play the Imperial March, or at least do a rendition of it while Vader was in there, was mind-boggling to me.
Well,
I kept saying it.
They did.
I feel like they did it one time.
They did one time.
But I was like,
they did it whenever.
I think it was almost the very end.
Yeah, it was
Like,
at the end when Palpatine is like, you still have feelings for him, and he's like, no, my master.
But he did.
You did. Spoiler alert.
Don't lie.
Spoiler alert, he's gonna turn on you.
Yeah, the music, I think some of like the goofy, like interrogating a 10-year-old,
So
like, I feel like the bones of the story is good. Like the overall story is good.
Right.
I just feel like there was kind of like some holes that I just felt like they didn't really connect things. Like for the story of the show, not so much as where it plugs into the whole Star Wars universe. There was just kind of like little goofy things, but it's a solid watch though, for sure.
It's tough, man. It's tough to that bar is just
It's hard to hit.
freaking high.
Yeah.
So it's like
Even Empire Strikes Back, I give it like an 8.5.
yeah.
And I thought Empire Strikes Back was spectacular.
The best one.
Yeah.
The best
So if that kind of puts things in perspective, if someone's like 6.5, oh, you asshole, like no, like 6.5, like that's a solid watch, man.
Yeah,
Like,
so I see Empire. I would give it like a. I mean, we're getting maybe 9.
Yeah.
9.1, 9 point. I mean, it's that's
it's spectacular.
It's 1980 or 79 or something.
It was in the
whatever it
80s. I think the first one was 79.
79, right?
Like
Yeah.
The Empire's like 84 maybe.
Yeah, but I mean,
Fact check that.
yeah,
I don't know.
just Google it.
And then, yeah, it's a solid watch.
Yeah.
I definitely like the show. Anyone that likes Star Wars,
I watched it again. I watched it when it came out.
18 times.
19.
Who's counting?
I mean, it was good, man. It was, like I said again, it's a Star Wars show. Anytime I see something on my phone that pops up in a new show coming out or in 2026 or whatever, or a movie, I mean, I'm off. Sign me up. I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm watching the midnight show.
Yeah. It's a solid watch. If you're a Star Wars fan, you haven't seen Kenobi, don't listen to all the negativity. You're always going to find something wrong with the show. There's no perfect show. Just watch the show. It's a good show.
Watch it.
It's really good. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah. You saw, you saw